So
Yeah.
there is actually a John Lewis Day of Action that is planned for July 17th. There's also No King's Day actions on June 14th. And so there are many opportunities, many ways for people to plug in the weeks ahead to standing up against this the constitutional crisis we're in, the authoritarianism and the destructive actions of this administration. But because I am known as a Kochologyst, I would be remiss, Nadine, if I didn't say that when I began my work researching Charles Koch, the billionaire who was also behind the court packing with Leonard Leo, the billionaire who has been behind efforts to obstruct every government effort to try to mitigate climate change, every major effort, I discovered that Charles Koch was funding the John Birch Society at the height of its attacks on the Reverend Martin Luther King and on Rosa Parks. They had booklets and pamphlets at their John Birch Society bookstores in Wichita, Kansas, where Charles Koch would frequent and where he was fundraising for the John Birch Society. At that time, the John Birch Society was attacking the civil rights movement, calling them communists, was attacking the broader civil rights movement, the Voting Rights Act, and more. And lo and behold, this billionaire, Charles Koch, in his early 30s, right before he inherited his father's company, was right there fundraising for this discriminatory group, this group that was, targeting the Supreme Court for daring to order the integration of schools, targeting the civil rights movement itself. And when Charles Koch resigned from the John Birch Society in 1967, it wasn't because of their position on Martin Luther King or the Freedom Riders. It was because of the Vietnam War. And so, fast forward to the current circumstance where, we see Charles Koch getting some good PR for his Stand Together operation. But meanwhile, it's Americans for Prosperity, otherwise known in my view as Americans for Greed, that are behind this effort to push forward this really ugly bill that has such sort of inherent racial dog whistling on some of the poverty programs and more, but that is, again, part and parcel of this, what I call this philosophy of greed and selfishness that has been opposed to civil rights, opposed to the civil rights movement for, inherently for years. So thanks for letting me indulge that little bit of Koch history in place of our a wonderful historian, Ray Arsenault, who we had these technical difficulties with, but we will definitely have him back on and do and to be fair, we did troubleshoot beforehand and things were going swimmingly, but we will triple check next time for our wonderful audience. And
you know what? We'll tell people this was performance art, because what we were trying to convey to everybody was this is the slow erosion, the slow erasure of this history. They do not want you to know about the extraordinary freedom riders. The story, the stories that really get to me are, the blind woman who wrote out her last will and testament and joined over the objections of her entire family, or the football star who had a free ticket, and chose instead to get on a bus that he knew was heading toward violence. And you see these people come to this moral crossroads. And what it reminds me of is this: all of us think we know how we will act in the moment that a choice has to be made. But I really believe you have to practice. You have to imagine those scenarios and then build the moral muscle to do what must be done. And so it's not an accident that they are eliminating and seeking to eliminate not just, the U.S. Navy warship, the Harvey Milk. They want to get rid of the Harriet Tubman. They want to get rid of the Cesar Chavez. They want to get rid of anything that allows people to tap into this rich legacy of resistance. And so we do have to keep that alive, not just for its historical, merit, but for its present day roadmap that reminds us it's not somebody else. It's not some big heroic figure that is going to come in that moment. It's you in that grocery store, at that courthouse, in that restaurant. When the moment comes, what will you do? And these are the histories of people who, when that moment came, they knew exactly what they would do, and they did it. So